In this video, I'm going to be talking about what exactly is an O1B visa resume, why you need one, and how to create one for yourself. Hi everyone, my name is Marcus and I'm an immigration attorney. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the O1B visa resume. So this video assumes that you have basic knowledge of what the O1 visa is. We're not really going to go through like all the different ins and outs of like what the O1 visa is and how to apply. I made a video that sort of addresses that issue a couple of years ago and I'm going to drop the link down below if you want to check that out and you're starting your O1 visa journey. Also, today's video, we're specifically going to be talking about the O1B visa resume. So if you're an O1A applicant, then you probably want to check this channel in the future for another video. So let's get started. So what exactly is an O1B visa resume and how is that different from your regular resume? So a regular industry resume is usually one page long. It lists your education, it's got like your previous job titles, and you give it to recruiters or you bring it to interviews with you. O1 visa resume, on the other hand, it's more detailed, right? So it's usually project-based and it's definitely more than one page long. And you're gonna need an O1 visa resume for three reasons. First of all, think of it as a diagnostic tool, right? So if you go through the process of creating an O1 visa resume, you will realize that either you have enough stuff to apply for the visa and the chances of you getting the visa are high, or you will realize that you're going to be deficient in some way. So if you go through the process, you realize that some areas might need a little bit more work. So you might actually like focus in on those areas and be able to like bulk up your case a little bit more. The second reason is that most attorneys will require some sort of resume in order for them to ascertain whether or not you have a good enough case. Or if we get to the preparation stage, I'm gonna need that information in order for me to be able to like, present your case to immigration in the first place. Thirdly, even if you are not working with an attorney, then you are gonna need this information in order for you to be able to meet the criteria for applying for the O1 visa. So what exactly does an O1 visa resume look like? Well, lucky for you, I happen to have a template which is free for you to download at the link below. So go grab it now as we go through the different parts of what makes a good O1 visa resume. All right, so when you open up the O1 visa resume template, you're gonna see 6 different sections that you need to fill out. Productions, organizations, press, awards, testimonials, and high salary. And the reason for this is because this mirrors the O1 visa criteria. You don't have to fill out every single section. Fill out the ones that are most relevant to you. Just bear in mind that you are trying to meet 3 out of 7 criteria in order to meet and get the O1 visa. So let's just go through them one by one. So the very first section is lead starring roles in productions that are distinguished. And the general format is you want to put your name, the role for the production, and why the production is considered distinguished. Don't think in terms of productions as like theater productions, unless you're an actor. If you are a digital designer, like a specific project can be considered a production as well. I think the most important things that need to be included in this section is your role, the name of the project or production. If there are any organizations involved, you should include that as well. If there's a venue, include that. If there were any awards or press, then you should include that as well. So in the template, I've given you 3 different examples. One of them is an actor, one of them is a digital designer, and one of them is a fashion model. Use these examples, but even if you are an artist that maybe doesn't fall into like these 3 disciplines, that's perfectly fine as well, as long as you have the basic information in this area and just include as much of it as possible. Cool, let's take a look at number 2, and this is lead starring critical roles for organizations that are distinguished. And here you really want to list all the organizations that you've played a critical role for. And here's the suggested format. So you put your name, your role for the organization. Most of the time it's going to be critical, but if it's lead or starring, include that as well. And you do need to give detailed reasons how you played a critical role for the organization and explain why the organization is considered distinguished. Moving on to number 3, which is press. This is where you want to list any articles that you've been featured in and make sure that the articles actually focus on you and don't just mention you by name, because a lot of people will like put in press releases, and that's not the same as like major press for the purposes of meeting this criteria. So here's the suggested format. We have the name of the press outlet, which is the New York Times, and I like to pull a quote usually from like the article, and then at the last section just sort of explain like why this press media is considered like major media, and this is the part where you want to put like the circulation numbers down. For number 4, this is awards and achievements. You want to list any awards and achievements that you might have received. There's no specific list for this, but you do want to sort of explain why these awards are considered significant in your field. Do not include anything that are like, school related, because those generally are not considered major awards in the field. Number 5, let's talk about testimonials. This is generally like a list of the people who are going to be providing testimonials for you. If you want to include their names and their bios to demonstrate that they're experts in the field, that is great as well. The last one is going to be high salary, and you need to provide the amount of money that you made in the most recent tax year. Don't include income that is not related to your field of endeavor, because I know people have multiple streams of income. Also, anything that you put in this section, you are going to need to provide documentation. So most of the time it's going to be like a tax return or something like that. So if you don't feel comfortable giving your tax return information for whatever reason, then this is really not the criteria for you. And actually most people don't really go for high salary. It tends to be one of the like harder ones to get anyway. Great, now that you've seen what an O1 visa resume looks like, let me give you some tips to help you fill out the document better. First of all, it's better to over-include rather than under-include. More information is better. There's no such thing as adding too much information. For me, I always tell my clients, just put everything that's possible in your resume. The worst case scenario is I'm gonna delete it. It's just that if you don't put it in, I can't read your mind and figure out what is supposed to go in your resume. Number 2, pick one specific field of endeavor. So kind of bouncing off the first tip, we sort of like put everything in, but the thing is that you need to focus down on one specific field. So for example, like if you are, I don't know, a pharmacist and an actor, you can't combine those two fields of endeavor. So it's got to be one resume for each field of endeavor. So focus down on one field of endeavor, but do include as much information about that one field as possible. Number 3 is to pick the highlights of your career. If you are the kind of person that has a lot of stuff, if you're the kind of person that has been working for like over 10 years, then I would say like you want to pick like the best moments, right? The best projects that you've worked on. If you just graduated and honestly are in OPT stage, then you probably will want to put in everything. And then at that point, you have a discussion with your attorney and figure out, what is best to include and what is best to exclude at that point. And that is it for the O1 visa resume. If you have any questions, please do drop them in the comments. Do like and subscribe, and I will see you soon.